Hi, Max Frizalone, attorney here with FrizWoods, and in this video, I'm going to discuss how to deal with a roadside DUI stop. If you're curious about defenses or how to go to court or picking a lawyer, you may want to look at some of my other videos here on the YouTube channel, but this video is going to specifically deal with what kind of steps can you take on the side of the road to sort of ensure that you have the best outcome or perhaps you're not even charged at all. So, first things first. If you see those red and blues in your rear view and it's late at night, remain calm because nervousness or erratic behavior will really only make things worse for yourself. Officers ultimately need to observe your behavior from the second the stop starts in order to make a DUI, especially if you limit the amount of evidence they're allowed to collect. So, what I'm saying is don't do anything wild or crazy, don't exit your vehicle, don't roll your window up and tape your mouth shut. But there are some things that you can do to limit the amount of evidence the officer may be able to collect. First and foremost, I recommend that people have their license and registration readily available when driving their vehicle. What that means is if you're watching this video and you know that your registration and insurance are buried in a stack of paperwork, you should pull those two documents out and put them in some sort of holder, whether it's plastic or a folder, something easily accessible. Because one of the things that an officer can observe is slower lethargic movement when getting your license or registration. Additionally, many times people give other documents. They may not know better. It may not be their vehicle, but oftentimes people give a library card or a credit card. Sometimes it's not due to alcohol consumption, it's just due to regular nervousness, but an officer will attribute that to being drunk, and a fact finder might do the same thing. Second of all, when an officer approaches your vehicle, don't do anything erratic. Keep your hands on the wheel if you have to, but don't put your hands inside of any compartments in your vehicle. Certainly don't do any reaching because stop reaching is usually what the officers yell at people who they're already nervous about. And I'm talking to mostly young men at this point. Third, you have the right to remain silent. So when the officer asks you where you're coming from or where you're going, or if you've had anything to drink tonight, you may simply say to the officer, I don't want to answer any questions. That's all you have to say. The only duty you have as a driver is to give them your license, registration, and here in Maryland, prove that you're an insured driver. You don't have an obligation to tell the officer where you've been or where you're going, and frankly, by doing so, you often reveal incriminating information. I'm coming from a restaurant. I'm coming from a bar. I'm coming from my friend's house. I haven't had a lot to drink. I've only had like 2 beers. It's been a while since I drank. You've now put alcohol in your system, right? You've raised the officer's suspicion about where you're coming from or going to. Exercise your right to remain silent. If the officer has reasonable articulable suspicion that you're driving under the influence, that could be due to things you can't control, the odor, perhaps the earlier driving that you might have done, those kind of things. He may ask you to step out of the vehicle and do field sobriety. Legally, he's allowed to ask you to step out, but legally, you're allowed to say no. If you've watched any of my other videos, I don't recommend that you do the field sobriety tests. Those are incriminating tests. They're tests you cannot pass. They're simply there for the officer to observe enough clues of impairment for him to then arrest you. And in my opinion, I don't think there's much of a benefit to doing those tests. So, if you refuse those tests, your attorney should be able to keep that out of court. And that's up to a judge. That's a legal argument. Remember, even if you do everything that I've just told you to do, you don't answer any questions, you don't do field sobriety, the officer still may feel they have probable cause to arrest you, and they may, in fact, have probable cause to arrest you. That doesn't mean they can prove their case in court beyond a reasonable doubt. So, in summary, remain calm, have your documents at the ready, don't answer any questions you don't have to, don't perform field sobriety, and if you've watched my other video starting very soon, I don't even think there's a benefit to blowing in a breathalyzer at a station in the state of Maryland. You follow those steps, you increase your odds of prevailing in court. Now, I'm only a Maryland attorney, and some of the advice that I've given you may be contrary to the laws in your state if you're watching this somewhere else. So if you're in New Jersey or Montana, then perhaps you need to talk with a local DUI attorney about what refusing a breath test might mean in your case. It may be a standalone crime, etc. So wish you all the best. If you have a DUI in Maryland, we'd be happy to chat about it. Good luck.